Ever feel like you're wading through a sea of words just to find a single nugget of wisdom?
Oh, absolutely.
Today, we're diving into the world of hypnotherapy
Fascinating stuff.
to uncover a technique
The tech,
that helps cut through the noise and get straight to the heart of the matter.
it's like panning for gold, but instead of gravel, we're talking thoughts, right?
Exactly.
Just conscious words and then those deeper unconscious truths.
And joining us today to help navigate those currents is the expertise of conversational hypnosis trainer Virginie Imyer,
I know her work, yeah.
who argues that sometimes getting clients to open up is only half the battle. You've got to know what to listen for.
Oh, for sure. It's not just about getting people to talk, is it? It's about listening. Really listening.
Exactly.
Imyr's big thing is that traditional hypnosis, it kind of misses the mark sometimes.
Really?
Because it's all about the therapist talking at the client, not with them, you know? And that creates this environment of what she calls conscious chatter, where the client feels this pressure to just keep talking,
Oh, I see.
to tell a story, even if it's not really leading to any breakthroughs.
Okay, so what does conscious chatter actually sound like in practice? How do I know if I'm hearing it?
Yeah, that's the tricky part. It's different for everyone, right?
Right.
But think of it like the well-rehearsed stories, the ones we tell ourselves, the ones we tell other people.
Right.
All those surface-level details that feel important in the moment, but they don't actually reveal the root of the issue.
So like someone talking about their stressful job in great detail, but never actually saying, hey, I think I need a career change.
Yes, that's a great example. And that's where those unconscious whispers come in, you see.
The unconscious whispers.
Those seemingly offhand remarks, maybe a fleeting emotion, something like that,
Ooh, interesting.
that might point to a deeper truth. And they often just slip out, you know?
Yeah.
Almost like the client isn't even aware they're saying them.
And I'm here saying that these unconscious moments, these whispers, are where the real gold lies.
100%. It's like those whispers hold the key, but they can get lost so easily in all that chatter if the therapist isn't super careful.
So how do you grab onto those whispers before they drift away? What's the technique?
Well, Imir is a big advocate for something she calls polite interruption.
Wait, really?
I know. It sounds counterintuitive.
It does. Interrupting a client, especially in therapy, seems like, I don't know, kind of risky.
Right. You'd think so?
Yeah.
But hear me out. Imir argues that a well-placed, respectful interruption,
Okay.
it can actually create a mini-trance,
A mini
a
trap.
moment of heightened focus,
Oh, wow.
where the client's mind is primed for deeper self-discovery.
So it's not about cutting the client off or shutting them down, but more like redirecting the conversation toward those unconscious revelations.
heck.
Like, hold on, you said something really interesting. Let's rewind and unpack that a bit.
Perfect. That's a great way to put it.
So, for example, say a client says, I can't quit smoking because deep down, I actually enjoy it.
There you go. A classic example.
What happens next?
Now, a therapist who's caught up in that conscious chatter, they might just nod along and say, okay, tell me more about why you enjoy it.
Yeah, makes sense.
But Imir would say, no. That's the perfect moment to pause, zoom in, and say, let's explore that. What is it about smoking that you really enjoy on a deeper level?
Because that deep down comment wasn't just an offhand remark, it was a glimpse into their subconscious, right?
Bingo. Their subconscious beliefs about smoking.
And by interrupting in that moment, the therapist can bring those subconscious beliefs to the surface,
Yes.
where they can be examined and potentially challenged.
Precisely.
This is already making me rethink how I listen in my own life, you know?
Oh, me too. It's so easy to.
Sometimes I'm just waiting for my turn to speak
Right.
instead of really listening for those subtle cues.
It's a skill we can all benefit from honing, for sure.
Absolutely. So mastering this technique, it's not just about identifying those unconscious moments, though, right?
You're right. It's a great start, but there's more to it. Imir also stresses how important it is to figure out which of those whispers are actually relevant
Relevant.
to the core issue the client's dealing with.
Okay, so it's not just about finding any gold nugget. It's about finding the ones that are actually valuable to the client's, like, therapeutic journey.
Exactly. It's about finding the gold that matters.
Okay.
Exactly. It's about finding the gold that matters. It's like, imagine you're trying to understand a painting.
Okay.
You could spend hours analyzing every brushstroke,
Right.
every little color variation.
Sure.
But if you don't get the artist's intention, the meaning behind it all,
Yeah.
those details, they just won't add up, will they?
It's like getting caught up in the technical stuff without seeing the bigger picture.
Exactly. And that's where the hypnotherapist intuition comes in, you see.
So they need to be able to not only hear those whispers, but also figure out which ones are actually important to the issue at hand.
Yes. Which ones are relevant to what the client's there for in the first place?
That makes sense. But how do they develop that kind of discernment, though? It sounds like a real art.
It is an art. It's something that Eimir really emphasizes in her training.
Oh, interesting.
She believes that hypnotherapists, they need to be real students of human behavior,
Okay.
constantly observing, analyzing, refining their ability to connect the dots.
So it's not just about learning a set of techniques. It's about really understanding, like, the human psyche.
You got it. And that brings us to another fascinating aspect of her approach. Her emphasis on what she calls strategy calls.
Strategy calls. What are those?
So think of it like a really thorough consultation before the actual session,
Okay.
not just a quick chat to schedule the appointment.
Yeah.
This is dedicated time for the therapist and client to really dig in.
To dig into.
The client's goals, their challenges, their expectations, that kind of thing.
So it's like laying the groundwork for the actual hypnosis.
Precisely. And here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Eimir found that by really investing time in these strategy calls,
Yeah.
her actual hypnosis sessions often became much shorter.
Wait, really? So she's saying that spending more time is fun actually saves time in the long run.
Exactly. It seems counterintuitive, right?
It does.
But in her experience, the more groundwork you lay during that strategy call,
Yeah.
clarifying goals, figuring out potential roadblocks, building that rapport,
Right.
the less time you actually need to spend during the session untangling all those metaphorical knots.
Wow, that's fascinating. It kind of flips the script on traditional therapy, doesn't it? Where you might feel pressure to unpack everything in one go.
It does. And it highlights how important careful listening and planning are in any kind of therapy, really. Eimir believes these strategy calls help to minimize that conscious chatter we talked about.
Because a lot of the surface level stuff is already taken care of.
Exactly. And that allows the client to come to the session already primed for deeper work.
That makes sense. So they're not starting from scratch.
Right. They've already begun to untangle some of those threads.
It's like clearing the path so you can go straight to the heart of the maze.
I like that.
This is making me wonder, if this approach is so effective in therapy, could it be applied to other areas of life as well?
It's a great question. And you know what? Eimir actually believes that these principles can be incredibly valuable in everyday conversations.
So we've been talking about how this approach, the strategy calls, the polite interruptions, it really helps therapists guide their clients toward those deeper insights.
Those aha moments, yeah.
Exactly. But are you saying this polite interruption technique, it's not just for therapy, right? Like, it's something we could all use in our everyday lives.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. How often do we miss crucial details in conversations?
Oh, all the time, probably.
Because we're so busy, thinking about what we're going to say next.
Right, right. Or we're just stuck in our own heads.
Exactly. But imagine if we actually practice this kind of mindful interruption.
Hey, yeah.
What if instead of just nodding along, we actually paused and said, hold on, you said something really interesting there. Can you tell me more about that?
It's like we're hitting the pause button on our own internal chatter for a second.
Yes.
So we can actually tune in to what the other person is trying to say.
And not just what they're saying, but what might be going on beneath the surface, too.
Right. Those unconscious whispers. And those whispers, those aren't just present in therapy, are they? They're in all our interactions.
All of them. Every conversation is filled with them.
So when we learn to recognize and respond to those, it kind of opens up this whole new level of understanding and connection, doesn't it?
Deeper connection, absolutely. It's like we're all amateur detectives in a way. I like that.
Looking for clues, trying to unravel the mysteries of the human mind, both our own and the minds of the people around us.
And the more we practice that, the better we get at deciphering those clues. And we start to notice those patterns everywhere.
Not just in other people, but in ourselves too, right?
Exactly. We start to see our own tendencies, maybe to ramble on, to avoid certain topics, to tell the same old stories.
Because we're becoming more self-aware.
Yes. And that self-awareness, that willingness to really look at those unconscious patterns, that's where real growth happens.
So it's like holding up a mirror to our own minds.
Yes.
Becoming more conscious of the thoughts and beliefs that are driving our words and actions.
And just like Eimir's approach encourages clients to really explore the why behind their behaviors, you can use this in your own life too.
asking ourselves, why am I saying this? What's the deeper meaning behind my words?
Exactly.
It's about approaching everything with a sense of curiosity, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Not just about the world around us, but also about our